Welcome back, everyone. Elaine was one wrong pin from draining Burns over the betrayal. Today, these two families finally collide. Enjoy the show.
Was confused by the owner's question. I'm here to buy furniture. Why would I be selling it? So he said to the owner, I'm here to buy furniture. You understand? The sales associate quickly chimed in. Boss, this gentleman wants to buy a set of classical furniture. Then he pointed to Noah, who had just walked in, and said, This gentleman is selling furniture. The owner's face lit up with understanding. He rushed to apologize to Jacob. Oh, I am so sorry. My mistake. Then he looked over at Noah and asked, Sir, are you the one selling furniture? When Noah heard Jacob say he was there to buy furniture, he just wanted to turn around and walk right out. After all, the last thing he wanted was for Jacob to see him in this humiliating situation. But this was the biggest classical furniture store in Oris Hill, and they gave the best prices for used pieces. If he left now, he'd probably lose a few $100 by going to a different shop. So he had to bite the bullet. He said to the owner, Yes, that's me. I have a set of furniture I want to sell. It's all antique. The owner smiled and said, Great! Appalachian oak is our specialty. Where's the furniture? Is it nearby so I can take a look? Noah shot an awkward glance at Jacob and said in a low voice, It's in my truck, out in the parking lot. You can come see it with me. Jacob looked at Noah and was secretly shocked. Ever since Yvonne disappeared with all their money, Noah had been a complete wreck. He was so stressed and worried that he'd lost a ton of weight, and his hair had turned gray almost overnight. He looked completely worn out. Jacob had never seen his older brother looking so defeated. Trailing behind Noah were Mrs. Wilson and his son and daughter. All four of them looked miserable, especially Lady Wilson, whose face was twisted into a nasty scowl. The thought of selling the precious furniture her husband had left her felt like a knife twisting in Mrs. Wilson's heart. It wasn't just painful. It felt like she was bleeding inside. When she suddenly spotted Jacob and his family there, her expression soured even more. Jacob hesitated for a moment, then walked over and asked, Mom? Noah? Why are you guys here? Noah said coldly, What? Are we not allowed to be here or something? Jacob quickly replied, That's not what I meant. I just heard you say you're selling a set of furniture. You don't mean the Appalachian oak set that Dad left us, do you? Noah suddenly got angry and blurted out, What does that have to do with you? After that, he couldn't be bothered with Jacob and said to the shop owner, Let's go outside and take a look at the items. Okay, the owner nodded and walked out of the store with Noah Wilson. Just then, Mrs. Wilson frowned, looked over at Jacob and asked coldly, What are you doing here? Even though Jacob had officially cut ties with Mrs. Wilson, she was still his mother, and seeing her still made him feel a mix of respect and apprehension. So he replied respectfully, Mom, the renovations on Charlie's villa are finished. We're looking to buy some furniture so we can move in. Jacob was telling the truth, but to Mrs. Wilson, his words felt worse than a slap in the face. Here she was, about to be kicked out of her own villa, forced to sell off heirlooms from the old master. Meanwhile, the Jacob family, the very people she had thrown out, was about to move into an ultra-luxurious villa in Thompson. The thought that Thompson had the most exclusive villas in all of Oris Hill made her stomach turn. She gritted her teeth and snapped, You came here just to rub it in my face and laugh at me, didn't you? No! Jacob exclaimed, feeling misunderstood. He quickly explained, Mom, that wasn't my intention at all. You asked why I was here, so I just told you the truth. Elaine was furious seeing Jacob act so submissive in front of Mrs. Wilson. This old woman had bullied her for years, and now she was so broke she was selling used furniture. How dare she still act so high and mighty? Who was she trying to scare with that sour old face? With that thought, Elaine stepped forward and said with a sneer, Well, if it isn't my dear mother-in-law. What brings you here? Are you really selling off the furniture Dad left behind? Has the Wilson family really fallen this far? Mrs. Wilson stared at Elaine's taunting smirk, her anger flaring up. She snapped, "Elaine, who gave you the nerve to speak to me like that?" "Oh," Elaine smirked. "What's the matter? Your family is about to go bankrupt and you're still pretending you're the head of the family? Have you no shame?" Hearing Elaine's mockery, Mrs. Wilson shot back. "Elaine, how dare you talk to me that way? Have you forgotten that I'm your mother-in-law?" Elaine scoffed. "Oh, I know you've always looked down on me. Your favorite was always your precious eldest daughter-in-law, Yvonne. But she turned out to be so loyal to you, didn't she? I heard she put a real jester's cap on your son's head and then cleaned out his bank account." Speaking of this, Elaine let out a dramatic sigh and said, feigning concern, "That sister-in-law of mine is just cruel. If she had only left the family $1 or $2 million, you wouldn't be in this pathetic situation, having to sell off your furniture." Mrs. Wilson was shaking with rage. "Elaine! You shrew! I never should have let you marry into my Wilson family," Elaine said with a sneer. "I'm sorry, but we've left the Wilson family. We're not part of your circle anymore. And that rundown villa of yours is ancient. We wouldn't be caught dead in a place like that. Let me tell you, after we buy our furniture today, we're moving straight into Thompson. We have a huge villa there, thousands of square meters, completely decked out. Living there will be like being a queen. But you, Mrs. Wilson, you'll never get to experience anything like that in your entire life." In the past, Elaine had always been furious with Mrs. Wilson, but never had a chance to get back at her. She was the type to hold a grudge, and she'd been waiting for an opportunity to get her revenge. Now that Mrs. Wilson was at rock bottom, Elaine couldn't help but gloat. Mrs. Wilson was shaking with rage. She gritted her teeth and said, "Elaine, don't get too proud. Didn't that good-for-nothing Charlie trick his way into getting that villa? You'll be kicked out one day. Then I'll be waiting to see you sleeping on the street." Elaine put her hands on her hips. "You're waiting to see me on the street? I think you're the one who will be sleeping on the street soon, right? I heard the bank is about to foreclose on your villa. I can't wait to see what you do then." One day, when you're starving to death, dying of thirst, or freezing on the side of the road, you better think long and hard right before you die about why your life ended so tragically. Is it because of all the bad things you've done in this life? Enough! Mrs. Wilson's chest heaved up and down as she glared at Elaine and cursed. "You witch! So what if the Wilson family is down on its luck? We'll be back on our feet sooner or later. And when we are, don't even think about trying to come crawling back to the Wilson house. You won't be welcome." Jacob quickly said to Elaine, "How can you talk to Mom like that? Go on, apologize to her right now." Elaine frowned at Jacob and said coldly, "Have you forgotten how that old woman kicked you out? And now you're siding with her again? You call her Mom, but does she even treat you like a son?" Then she pointed at Mrs. Wilson and said coldly, "Mrs. Wilson, you need to get a reality check. Are you still trying to act high and mighty with me? Let me tell you something. Even if you got on your knees and begged me to come back, I wouldn't do it. The Wilson family is such a joke, having to sell off furniture just to get by. Who the hell would want to go back to that?" Mrs. Wilson was furious. She pointed right in Elaine's face and spat out each word. "Elaine, I've lived a long life, and you are the first person who has ever dared to speak to me this way. Mark my words, sooner or later I will break your legs and make you kneel before me, bowing and scraping for forgiveness." Elaine, "Oh really? You're just a bag of old bones with one foot in the grave, and you think you can break my leg? Go ahead, my leg is right here. If you've got the guts, take a swing. I dare you." As she spoke, Elaine actually stuck her leg out at Mrs. Wilson with pure contempt. This pushed Mrs. Wilson over the edge. She wanted nothing more than to break Elaine's legs right then and there. That would teach her a lesson about being so arrogant. But with Charlie standing right there, Mrs. Wilson didn't dare make a move. She still remembered the sight of Charlie taking down a group of bodyguards all by himself, and the memory still sent a chill down her spine. Harold, who was usually so cocky, didn't dare say a word with Charlie around. Even though he saw Elaine insulting his grandmother, he didn't have the courage to step up and defend her. He just cowered in the back, looking miserable. Just then, Noah Wilson returned with the shop's owner, a grim look on his face. He walked straight to Mrs. Wilson and said, "Mom, let's go. Their offer is way too low."
The owner quickly chimed in, "Look, pal, $1.1 million is a very generous offer. This set of yours, the materials are pretty average. It's old, and there's a fair amount of damage. My price is more than fair. You can take it somewhere else, but I guarantee you won't get a better price than this." Mrs. Wilson was furious when she heard the offer was only $1.1 million. She immediately snapped, "For such beautiful furniture, you're only offering $1.1 million? What a ripoff!" The owner said with a helpless shrug, "I'm giving you an honest price. If you don't believe me, go get another quote." Mrs. Wilson snorts coldly and said to her family, "Let's go. We'll try another shop. I refuse to believe this is the best we can do." Jacob quickly jumped in. "Mom, how about this? I'll give you $1.2 million for it. Sell it to me. Honestly, that furniture means a lot to me. It was Dad's." "In your dreams," Mrs. Wilson gritted her teeth. "I'd rather chop it up for firewood than sell it to you." With that, she motioned to Noah. "Let's go." Noah gave Jacob a grim look and quickly followed Mrs. Wilson as she turned to leave. Watching them walk away, Jacob couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. "I can't believe the Wilson family has sunk so low that we're selling off our heirlooms. That furniture was Dad's favorite. It's a real shame to sell it." Claire knew how much her father loved that furniture, so she stepped forward to comfort him. "It's okay, Dad. You know how Grandma gets. There's no way she'd sell that furniture to you. Let's just look at something else." "Yeah," Jacob sighed. He turned to the salesperson and said, "All right, let's look again. Your Appalachian oak is a bit out of my price range, and the wait for the black walnut is just too long." The salesperson nodded and said, "If you need anything else, just let me know." By the time he turned back, Mrs. Wilson's family was gone. Jacob went to several other shops that sold classical furniture, but he couldn't find a single piece he liked. Elaine was getting impatient, so she suggested they buy the other furniture they needed, like for the bedroom and dining room. Otherwise, she said, they were going to leave empty-handed for the day. Jacob agreed that was a good point, so the family moved over to the living hall. Elaine chose a bedroom set for herself that cost tens of thousands, and Claire also chose one for more than $10,000. In the living hall, they quickly found wardrobes, a dining table, and storage cabinets. They even bought all the household appliances and other miscellaneous things they needed, spending a total of more than $700,000. Elaine was quietly keeping a running tab of the costs. Knowing Jacob still had more than $1.2 million left, an idea began to form in her mind. If Jacob really spent the rest of the money on a classical sofa, there wouldn't be much left. But if they just bought a nice modern sectional sofa, they would still have at least $1 million. So she started nagging Jacob. "Jacob, if you can't find a classical sofa you like, we should just get a modern sectional for now. Then, when we have more money, we can just buy a $300,000 set. Wouldn't that walnut wood be better anyway?" Jacob knew exactly what she was up to, so he said dismissively, "You don't need to worry about what kind of sofa I buy. Anyway, we've already picked out the furniture for the bedrooms, dining room, and recreation room. That should be enough for you." Elaine was incredibly frustrated and blurted out, "Why won't you listen to reason?
If you buy a sofa that's in stock, it can be delivered this afternoon. We could move into our new house tomorrow and be happy. But if you keep dragging this out, the money we have left isn't enough for Appalachian oak, and you think you're too good for walnut wood. How much longer are you going to waste time on this?" Jacob hesitated. She had a point. With just over $1.2 million, buying a quality classical piece was tough. It was too much money for the lower-end stuff, but not enough for the truly great pieces. If he kept hesitating, it would definitely delay them from settling into the new house. If he did what Elaine wanted and bought a modern sectional sofa now, it could be delivered this afternoon, and they could move in tomorrow. Just as Jacob was hesitating, Charlie suddenly said, "Dad, I have a feeling Mrs. Wilson is going to contact you soon." Jacob asked, puzzled, "Why?" Charlie smiled, "Because of the money. That furniture set can't be sold for much more than $1.1 million. My guess is that after she tries to find another buyer, your offer will still be the highest. She'll have to sell it to you." Elaine said contemptuously, "What nonsense are you talking about? Did you not hear Mrs. Wilson just now? She said she'd rather chop it up for firewood than sell it to us." "So what?" Charlie said calmly. "They're at their lowest point right now. Dad is willing to pay an extra $100,000. That's a lot of money for them. Mrs. Wilson is smart. A smart person isn't going to throw away $100,000 for nothing." Elaine scoffed. "Oh, really? You think just because you can fool people with that energy alignment stuff, you can see through everything? Based on what I know about her, if she swallows her pride and sells that furniture to us, I'll eat the whole set myself." Just as she finished speaking, Jacob's cell phone suddenly rang. He looked surprised and said, "It's my older brother." He quickly answered the phone. Noah's cold voice came through the speaker. "You just said you want this furniture for $1.2 million. Is that true?" When Jacob heard this, he said, "Of course it's true. $1.2 million. I want it." Noah said, "Fine. Since you really want it, wire the money to Mom's account, and the furniture is yours." Jacob, being cautious, said, "How about this? You bring the furniture to Thompson. As soon as it's unloaded, I'll pay you right away." Noah, on the other end of the line, hesitated for a moment, then said, "All right. The stuff is already in the truck and ready to go." Jacob quickly said, "Great. I'll see you at Thompson then. I'll be waiting for you." After hanging up, Jacob immediately turned to Charlie and said, "Charlie, you called it. They're willing to sell." Elaine's expression suddenly turned sour. Not only had Jacob's phone call just proven her completely wrong, but more importantly, if Jacob spent that $1.2 million on old furniture, the family would be broke. Thinking about this, Elaine was completely miserable, and the look she gave Charlie was practically murderous. Charlie didn't bother engaging with Elaine. He knew exactly what she was after, and he found it pretty amusing to see her not get her way. Since the family of four had also purchased other furniture, Charlie got behind the wheel and drove everyone to Thompson. The Thompson villa was finally finished. Aside from needing furniture, everything else was the definition of pure luxury. The living room was stunning. The entire floor was polished natural marble, gleaming like a mirror and giving the whole room a magnificent palatial feel. Elaine stared at the extravagant decorations, practically glowing with happiness and grinning from ear to ear. Jacob was also completely blown away. He said with awe, "The last time I saw this place, the renovations weren't even done yet, and the living room was still covered with protective mats. I couldn't see any of the details. Looking at it today, it looks grander than a palace." Claire, being in the design business herself, could tell at a glance how much the renovations must have cost. She pulled Charlie aside and whispered, "This renovation must have cost tens of millions of dollars. Why would Salman White be so generous?" Charlie replied, "Well, he's a rich guy. He gave away a villa worth over $1 billion, so a few tens of millions for decorations is nothing to him." Wow. Claire stuck her tongue out and said, This is the first time I've ever seen a home decorated to such a high standard. It's insane." Charlie just smiled without saying anything. In the back of his mind, memories of his childhood with the Wade family started to surface. The Wade family mansion I remember from 10 or 20 years ago was way more luxurious than this. Just as Claire and her family were marveling at the villa's luxurious interior, Noah Wilson pulled up in a moving truck, parking right at the entrance of the villa. Jacob was ecstatic. He rushed outside to guide the movers as they carried the colonial-style furniture into the villa. Mrs. Wilson, along with Noah, Harold, and Wendy, got out of the car to look around the courtyard. The newly renovated space was far more extravagant than it had been, and seeing it made the four of them sick with envy. Noah went inside the villa, saying he needed to oversee the movers with the furniture. When he came back out, his expression was even uglier than before. Mrs. Wilson couldn't help but ask, "Noah, what's it like inside?" Noah, sighing, looking uneasy. "I've never seen anything so luxurious. It's enough to make your head spin." "Really?" Mrs. Wilson suddenly perked up and blurted out, "I have to go see it for myself." Harold, curious to see it as well, quickly added, "Grandma, I'll go with you." Wendy stared at the villa, her feelings a complicated mess. She had once been engaged to Gerald, and this very villa belonged to his uncle, Solomon White. If she had married Gerald, she wouldn't have just been a frequent visitor. She might have even lived here. But now the person about to move in was Claire, the very person she'd always looked down on and resented. The thought made her blurt out, "Grandma, I'll come with you." She rushed over and helped Harold support their grandmother, one on each side. Mrs. Wilson walked into the living room, staring at the magnificent carved decorations. They were speechless. Above them, the ceiling was more than 10 feet high. A huge, luxurious golden crystal lamp hung in the center. The light refracted through the crystals, casting colorful patterns everywhere. It was breathtakingly beautiful. Mrs. Wilson stood there, her legs trembling. Compared to this place, her own villa was a total dump. The decor in here was just countless times better than her own home. She couldn't help but think how wonderful it would be to live here. She'd probably just want to stay home all day, just to look at everything, to touch every surface. Too bad she'd never get the chance. Her son, Jacob, might be a useless spendthrift, but he sure got lucky with his son-in-law. Who would have thought that a loser from an orphanage like Charlie could have such good luck? If she had known this from the start, she would have never looked down on Charlie. She would have been polite to him and to Jacob's whole family. If she had, she might have had the chance to live in this luxurious villa herself. But it was too late. She had cut ties with Jacob completely, and even if she wanted to patch things up, he would never agree. Harold and Wendy, standing beside her, felt even worse. Wendy looked at the palace-like living room, her eyes turning red. If her grandma hadn't offended Charlie, the White family would never have broken off her engagement. She should have been a young bride of the White family. But now, after being used by Curtis and Andrew, her reputation in Oris Hill was completely trashed. She didn't even have a single suitor anymore. Her dream of marrying into a wealthy family was a total joke now. While the grandmother and granddaughter were lost in their own thoughts, the movers had already brought all the furniture into the living room. Jacob did a quick count, checking each piece one by one to make sure everything was there. He was completely ecstatic. He was really sentimental about this furniture set, and getting it was the best possible outcome. So he went up to Mrs. Wilson, his face beaming with excitement, and said, "Mom, the furniture is perfect. How can I pay you for it?" Mrs. Wilson looked at Jacob with a complicated expression and said, "Jacob, you're my son too. Since you love this furniture so much, I'll give it to you." Jacob quickly replied, "Mom, how can that be right? That's not fair. Even if you give the furniture to me, my older brother will never agree. Besides, Isn't the family short on cash right now? This money could really help us out. Mrs. Wilson shook her head and said sincerely, Jacob, I know what you're thinking, but don't worry. The Wilson family still has me, your mother, in charge. As long as I say this furniture is yours, it's yours. When Jacob heard this, he said gratefully, Thank you, Mom. Elaine, standing off to the side, was also thrilled. Had Mrs. Wilson had a complete change of heart? If she was just giving it away, then fine. This was great. Elaine saw another opportunity opening up. But then, Mrs. Wilson let out a pitiful sigh and said, Jacob, they're going to take the Wilsons' villa soon. When that happens, your mother, me, will be sleeping on the street. Your villa is so big and luxurious, isn't it? Shouldn't you save a bedroom for your mom?